So what just happened to us collectively?
Possibly the worst movie-going experience of my life.
I thought I set my bar low enough. I really did. I thought that I had lowered my expectations sufficiently, but no. Hi, listener. Welcome. Welcome to the Cinderella podcast, where we watch and review every unfortunate Cinderella adaptation we can get our hands on, discussing sort of the same story forever until we go slowly insane. I'm Liv.
And I'm Talon, and today we watched another Cinderella story made in 2008, which we're calling the Selena Gomez Cinderella, because it stars a 16-year-old Selena Gomez.
And boy, does she look 16. She
Oh
looks
my,
like a baby.
it was very disturbing because she's a very young-looking 16.
Yes.
So if someone had told me she was 12, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah, I would have bought 12. Sure, that's a precocious 12-year-old. Sure, I'd buy that. Wow, I mean, just where to start? I really don't even. So guys, here's the thing. Cinderellas have a small number of scenes. You meet Cinderella, there's a ball, there's a fairy godmother scene, the actual ball happens, there's a running away scene, there's a search scene, there's a finding scene, and then we're done. That's a Cinderella. So when you get to the 5 of 6 scenes and there's an hour left in your movie, it's a bad sign. I don't know about you, Talon, but I had a really hard time taking notes on this because this had the pacing of one of our 7-minute fever dreams that we watch, where we have to watch them twice because there's just literally no way to go through the amount of chaos that happens in a, timely fashion. And this felt like that. This very much felt like one of our 7-minute nightmares, but it went on for an hour and a half.
This movie was trying to deliver banter at the pace of a Kevin Smith movie, but it wasn't good at it.
Oh no.
Like, it got the speed and none of the humor.
Were there any jokes in this that you felt landed?
Not a single one. I can honestly say there's not a single thing in this film that brought me any amount of joy.
I think there was one scene that I sort of enjoyed, and there was a brief moment when I felt happiness. It
Really?
Yeah, it was when I thought that the pile of clothes in the stepmother's room was going to become sentient, and that was gonna be either a monster or a fairy godmother, or the movie was just gonna go and do something else, and there was gonna be a sentient clothes monster that they had to, you know, vanquish.
Okay.
I was okay in that moment. That was sort of the height for me. It wasn't a clothes monster, y'all, it was a Pomeranian, which we'll talk about because I had a lot of notes about that Pomeranian. So, I guess we have to start this so that we can finish it.
So it starts with a musical number, and it's very bad. It's very teeny bopper, and it's Selena Gomez just doing music.
There's weirdly not a lot of music to it. I mean, she's singing it and they're doing very dramatic hip hop dance moves, but there's not a lot of actual non-vocals going on. There's no real bass or there's no music happening. There's singing over sort of dull musical background noise.
I was so like befuddled by this moment that I took zero notes on it and just sat there just stunned.
The amount of times that I had to pause to try to parse out what I had just seen, but in these 7 seconds it would take me to parse out what the heck I just seen, so much more crazy had happened. It was this was a very stressful watch for me just in terms of typing. So yeah, so we meet our Cinderella. Her name is Mary Santiago. And one of the lyrics in this bizarre opening song is how many inches in a mile?
Okay. In context of the song, it's "Tell Me Something I Don't Know" is the chorus.
Oh, oh, was that
So
the context? Tell me something I don't know?
yes, and one of the examples is how many inches in a mile, how to make you smile is the rhyme that it does. But yes, those are the two examples of things that Selena Gomez doesn't know.
So this movie is basically just a horrific love child of Elle, a modern Cinderella story, and a Cinderella story with Hilary Duff. It's just a bastard love child. So the premise is that Mary's an orphan, and her mother was one of Dominique, who is the stepmother. She's one of Dominique's backup dancers. And so upon her death, Dominique adopted her daughter as a baby because she needed a servant. I don't know why she thought an infant was going to be an ideal servant, but she makes a lot of weird choices as we find out.
She specifically says I needed some help around the house, so I took the little brat in. I'm
Yeah.
really a saint.
The stepmother tells Mary that it is her job to bring bubbly water, and we get our first terrible, terrible moment. I did not get the note exactly. Did you get the line exactly?
She says, "Bubble me now. I hate your energy. It's ugly and sad and lonely."
Oh no, the part before that, she goes like, agua boobly comprende, because
No,
oh, did you miss that
no.
part?
I missed that part.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could make this movie worse for you. So that happens, and then we get that next line of your energy is ugly and horrible. We then are introduced to the stepsisters, Britt and Bree, as Mary goes to fetch bubbly water, and they steal the last ones so that she specifically can't bring it back to Dominique. We should describe people.
The two stepsisters are both, they both have light brown hair, and one is kind of nerdy-ish, and one is kind of ditzy-ish. And also, I posit gay.
One of them, and I think that it's Britt, has a role in the Amanda Bynes movie. She's the Man, and she plays Eunice, who is again an overly aggressive braces wearing, very intense, bespectacled person. So yeah, I had to hate her a little bit less because I really love She's the Man. That was the only reason. I just kept imagining this is Eunice's backstory before she gets sent to this weird prep school to play soccer. So Dominique is basically a washed up pop singer. She is very tall. She has very blonde, fake platinumy hair, which she wears in these very bizarre large curls.
She's played by Jane Lynch.
I don't know what else she's been in, so she's just
Okay.
kind of tall and bony.
So the idea is that Dominique is kind of a washed up pop star, but they play her as a very in the moment pop star, but just very old for being a pop star. So I didn't get like a Madonna vibe from her. I
Mm,
got just a weird mom vibe. She didn't seem like she could possibly be a pop star. She didn't seem like someone who had been at one point successful and was trying to be successful again. She just didn't seem like a person who had ever been successful ever.
I mean, it was clear that they were aiming for this person was successful and now is trying to be successful again. You are correct. That is what they're trying to do. But it read to me as this person has received a very, very, very small level of fame in a very local area and now believes that they are the queen of everything. This read to me as somebody reading way too much into their own hype because they were an over 5 in a movie or something. We're introduced to this concept by Dominique's commercial that she's filming.
Yeah, you think that you're watching a music video for her pop hit, but it's actually an acne commercial for Baby Got Backney Cream. And then they do a parody of Baby Got Back. So they rap, "I like clean skin, and that's the truth." And it's terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. And it's very bad.
At the end of this commercial, though, there's a brief moment where they put the side effects up on the screen, and one of the side effects was agoraphobia. It also included weight loss, dizziness, all the weird things that you put in a warnings list to be funny, but one of them was agoraphobia.
That's wild.
So somebody in this production had a sense of humor. I think it was one person.
We find out that our Cinderella Mary has a skateboard because she grabs it and runs with it.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's
Missed
the
that.
thing we know about her. That's about as much personality as we're going to get. And then we hear a lot about somebody being very hot. And it turns out that this is teen heartthrob Joey Parker, who is a triple threat of singing, acting, and dancing.
No. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I missed
No.
stuff.
You missed. No, you didn't miss it. The line is, he is a triple threat of singing, dancing, and breaking hearts because he can't act.
Oh,
And
dear God.
so, Talon, you are correct. A triple threat is someone who is good at singing, acting, and dancing. So you accidentally tried to make this movie better than it was. I appreciate that effort. But no, he's a triple threat of not being a triple threat. He's a
Wow.
triple threat of only two of those things, and I would offer also neither of those things. He's a zero of triple threats. So he's coming back to high school for his senior year. Why? 'Cause he's trying to find his roots.
Okay. We have to describe him.
Sure, he's got brown hair and he looks kind of hot in a teenage 2008 kind of way.
This boy looks like he's trying so hard to be cool while being aggressively Christian at the same time.
I was trying to type so fast I missed all of that.
He has this like giant pendant on all the time, and he like wears like a shirt over a shirt in the layered thing, and he wears a fedora so often.
Oh yeah, no, the fedora was. He's wearing a fedora, which from hindsight is an obvious clue that this is not a good person.
He's also very, very white, but insists on saying things, I'm gonna get back to my roots. I'm just trying to keep it real.
It's the 2008 hip hop teeny bopper boy band vibe. I could not summon up the will to care about it enough to notice it, and I'm watching this. So I don't have a lot of notes on him. He was kind of a zero, which given how much of a negative everything else was, I was fine with.
He's also going to keep it real by hosting a huge dance competition.
Yes, because that's how one has a normal year and gets back to their roots. In this movie, we find out that there is also an intercom in Mary's room, the same way that Sam had in her room, so that her stepmother can page her from across the house and yell at her. And we get the weirdest line in any Cinderella. I'm going to go ahead and just say that right now. I think this is the weirdest line we've ever come across.
It was quite bizarre.
Dominique yells at her to do something, clean something, get something ready. It doesn't even matter what. And then there's a pause, and Dominique goes, "Can you feel it?" And Mary says, "What?" And Dominique goes, "I'm choking you from the other room." Choking you. I think we could do an entire podcast about that one line. So I'm going to set that aside and move on because otherwise I'm not going to be able to move on.
So you get some cool music from 2008, and Mary is on a skateboard and she gets into this giant orange bug van. It's like
It's a Volkswagen bus is what it is. It's a mystery machine, but it's orange.
Yes, exactly. And this is being driven by Tammy, the best friend who is far more interesting than the main character. She has short curly hair. The van makes a noise, and Mary tells Tammy that she should really get this thing fixed, to which Tammy responds that she must respect the Great Pumpkin, which is a very helpful hint about what this will be used for later. This is their last semester, and they're trying to really like actualize who they are as people.
We find out that Tammy is an aspiring designer. She wears a bunch of very bizarre, kooky clothes. And we find out that Mary's goal is that she wants to get into the Manhattan Academy of something. Fancy dance college.
And they have a line about Tammy becoming a clothing line billionaire and picking her up on her private plane to go shopping in Paris. And she encourages Mary to embrace her awesomeness because she's absolutely going to get in, and just really hyping her up as her best friend. So we see the two stepsisters again, and there's a third girl with them, and she's blonde and she's evil, and her name is Natalia. And she and Joey Parker had a thing the previous year, and she's insistent that they're gonna have a thing again, and he's kind of like, I don't know.
So yeah, we see this terrible popular girl, and we get one really terrible line about a diet culture joke. Something that's called the one sip diet or something. And I hated it so much. But then she immediately looks at Mary, looks directly at her, and flings her drink so that she soaks Mary with it, and then says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see you there. It's like you're invisible." And Tammy hurls herself out of the window and goes, "Look at my invisible finger," and holds up a fist. So I love Tammy, is what I'm saying. And then everyone progresses into school, and we see what Tammy's actually wearing. And she's got big boots and sort of a jacket, but she's wearing a full-on petticoat tutu kind of thing. It's not a tutu that sticks straight out, but she's wearing a whole lot of petticoat layers. And someone makes fun of her and goes, "Hey, Halloween was in October." And she responds with, "Well, then why are you still dressed like a tool?" As someone who wore a lot of petticoats in high school, I really like Tammy.
Tammy's adorable, and I love her, and I would love a movie about Tammy.
I would love a movie about Tammy as well. I would much rather watch Tammy and her love interest than Mary and Joey.
Yeah, I kept waiting for Joey Parker to turn out to be the bad guy and for there to be another love interest. And I was really holding out for that like twist until so far into the story that it would have made like a very terrible movie.
I wanna know how far that was for you. How
Like
far
three
did you
quarters of the movie. I was still hoping.
still hoping? That's fine. I'm fine with that. So there is now a stampede because Joey has arrived, and there is a girl stampede because that's what girls do. We get a scene introducing that Joey is super popular and that Natalia used to be with him. Some dude tries to shake Joey's hand, and Joey tries to shake his hand, but the guy is so excited that he throws up, and we get a fun nervous vomiting scene. You can never have enough nervous vomiting scenes in your Cinderella, by the way, guys. It's a great scene to have in any Cinderella, is a nervous puking scene.
The kid is so thrilled having met him though that after throwing up he like smiles and does a thumbs up.
Because this movie hated me and wanted me to suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a football guy that invites him to a party at his house. There's a random girl that's like, "I love you so much."
The point of this scene is that he bumps into Mary. We find out that he and Natalia used to date, and we meet his best friend, who is named Dustin, but prefers to be called the Funk because, again, this movie hated me. And that Dustin is into Tammy and actually gives her a genuine compliment on her tutu, and they kind of flirt. It's kind of cute.
I don't know that I loved that scene because he calls her feisty and says he likes feisty.
Okay, so there were a lot of things that I did not love about the Tammy Dustin coupling. One, Dustin is kind of a dick. He says a lot of things that are probably not consciously misogynistic, but definitely the sort of thing where, hey man, that word has undertones that you should probably be aware of before using. Also, he is black. Tammy is a person of color. Dustin is a person of color. They must end up together because we were trying to not be racist in 2008, and we didn't do a great job, but we were trying. So we made progress from 1948, is what I'm saying, just not quite enough. So
Dustin aggressively radiates black best friend vibes in this. Every single line that's written for him is about how cool JP is, which is what he calls Joey Parker.
Yep.
I literally don't know of anything he says that isn't just like, wow, you know who's really cool? JP, my man JP, he's so cool. Did you know he's cool?
So there's a dance class that's going to happen now, and everyone runs to dance class. Mary goes too, and is behind the one-way mirror, because dance studios often have, a wall that is entirely mirrors so that you can see yourself and observe how much your legs aren't straight and how not pointed your toes are and how you're in the wrong position all the time and how you look terrible. But this is a one-way mirror, so that there's a whole other room behind it, which has really disturbing ramifications. Yeah.
So that part is actually not that weird.
Oh, it's not? Oh, thank God.
Where it opens into a separate room is bizarre. In the dance studios that I've been to, whenever there's a wall that's a one-way mirror, it's so that people can watch without freaking everybody who's practicing out.
Oh, okay, thank
Distracting them.
God. Thank God.
However, having that face into another dance studio makes zero sense. It's confusing why it leads into a separate studio, but the presence of a one-way mirror is not inherently disturbing, I think.
Okay, good. I feel better then.
You can stop feeling better because the way they use it in this scene is deeply upsetting to me. And I hated the way that they dance like pressed up on each side of the mirror and like dragging their hands down it like they're in Titanic.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to talk about it then, because that was one of the only things I liked about this.
Oh dear God.
I know. Anyways, so the dance class is going to start with a real teacher, and she says that they're going to start with sun salutations, but all they do is reach up and breathe and then bend at the waist and then stand up again. And I'm not super into yoga, guys, but a sun salutation is a whole thing with press ups and going down to the floor and down facing dog and just stuff. It's not just breathe and then bend over and then stand up again. So I was annoying, but no worries. Joey interrupts this immediately by showing up and announcing that he's going to teach the class because he's qualified to teach the class, I guess.
They keep trying to sell us on the idea that he's like a really incredible dancer, but he dances no better than like a boy band dancer, and not like a boy band dancer known for dancing.
He's fine. So somebody choreographed that well and taught it to him, and he learned it. That's the extent of the awesome dancing. So he says he's going to teach them some of his stuff, and then he's going to put it together and speed it up. Everything that happens is done at the same speed. So the stepsisters injure themselves trying to follow along. Mary is in the secret one-way mirror room following perfectly. Natalia is dancing up against him in a very aggressively sexual manner, as he has asked them to put some of their own style into these moves, and her style just involves gyrations, but specifically on him.
He pushes her away and then does a run and slide on his knees towards the mirror, which was so melodramatic that I almost liked him for a minute.
But at the same time, Mary is also doing a run slide on her knees towards the mirror. What the wiki article says is that Joey proceeds to try to teach this dance class, and slowly people drop out as they are unable to keep up with him. Mary, dancing behind the one-way mirror, is the only one who can follow all of his moves. So I was confused, because that's what the wiki says, and that is not what happens. What happens is he leads a class, a couple of people fail to follow along with him. She follows along with him in a disturbingly intuitive way, given that she's not looking at him. Also, he's not teaching a choreographed dance, and at one point they start all doing choreography of a dance that is not what he's just done. What we see on the screen is split into with the mirror in the middle, and we're watching Joey and Mary dance together, but not facing each other. She can see him, so she's dancing with him, because we know she's got a huge crush on him. I think we got that information previously. He is weirdly into the mirror, though.
He's like staring intensely at the mirror, and he's definitely picking up like a really sexy vibe, but he doesn't know that it's coming from her So at one point he looks kind of panicked and pushes away from the mirror and like goes back to dancing with everybody else.
Do we think that was a Narcissus moment where he was worried that he was going to wind up staring at his reflection and just in love and waste away to nothing and lose his dancing career?
I think he like psychically picked up a vibe and he just like felt like very sexy. And he's like, why do I feel so sexy?
I have no idea. It was a bizarre scene. I thought that it was filmed in a beautiful way. It didn't make any sense in terms of the story or in terms of how humans dance, but just the cinematography of it, I found very pleasing. And I thought that it established a connection of they're both really into the same type of dancing and it established that there was a connection. Did that connection make sense? No, but it established it, and so I liked that scene.
I did not like that scene because I didn't get a sense of connection at all. I thought they had just no chemistry, and putting them in separate rooms for this was a mistake because they couldn't have pulled it off if they were facing each other, let alone with a barrier. And also, they're just not that good at dancing. You know how sometimes you watch those America's Got Talent or whatever TV shows
Yeah.
and there are dancers on there and it just blows your mind how incredible they are.
Oh, absolutely.
This was not that.
No. But then Mary's phone goes off and disrupts the class, which she's not in. Again, she's in a room behind it.
But everyone hears it and she's about to get caught, so she's got to grab it and she's whispering into it. It's her stepmother and she wants crab puffs on a tray because they're hosting a party.
It's a luncheon. It's a luncheon.
A luncheon. I'm sorry.
So Mary flees home with crab puff ingredients, and the stepsisters accost her. Joey is coming to lunch, it turns out. For a movie with so little happening, almost everything was an exposition dump.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. Sorry. Anyways, so the stepsisters accost Mary. They have found a video that she made of herself dancing. It's a fan video of Joey. This is very much the same "you have a shrine to Ty Parker" embarrassing thing that
Yes.
is supposed to be humiliating. So
It's weird that they both did that because it's not
there's
particularly effective in either one.
no, it's not.
These are both boys that are very used to people having had crushes on them since they were child stars, apparently.
Someone threw up at the concept of shaking his hand. The concept of an 11-year-old girl making a fan dance video is totally normal. And if that was the worst thing that happened to him that day, that was a damn good day for him.
Okay, that's the other thing. They kept trying to sell us on how cool Joey Parker was,
He's not cool.
and he's not even remotely cool. And I don't buy even for a second that girls would be like, wow, he's so dreamy.
He was attractive enough. But
I didn't get that energy or that confidence from him at all.
oh no. He was a whiny pretty boy, is what he was.
I would
So
buy him as the handsomest boy at school, and that's
sure.
about it.
Sure. This is one of the hot guys at school. Fine. Okay, so we're having this luncheon. Joey's parents are there. I wasn't sure if they were his parents or his producers. It turns out they're both. And it turns out that Joey does not like Dominique because she called him overrated on television one time. They want Joey to do a duet with Dominique so that they can have enough money to buy another house. One of the parents says, "She's not that big a deal. No one's bought one of her CDs in ages." And I just went, "Oh wow, buying CDs. I haven't heard that term in a while. Wow. Wow, okay."
Even better, later on, we get to hear the word Zune.
Which was a fad at such a weird time that I had to go look it up because I didn't know what that was. I mean, it was clear from the screen what that was, but I read it in the wiki article and I went, Zune.
It was the iPod's main competitor for
Yeah.
like a hot minute, and then it was just destroyed.
So yeah, this movie is weirdly dated for being fairly recent.
It was wild.
Dominique then shows up and says, "I'm sorry to be late. It took me 20 minutes to descend the staircase." But then we move on from that line, like we don't need an hour to process what it means to take 20 minutes to go down a staircase.
Well, she's wearing this like lycra dress, or what would you call that fabric? It's very shiny spandexy fabric.
But it's not tight. I mean, it's tight around her bodice, but she's got It has a skirt. It's not a Mae West fishtail, your knees are pinned together because the fabric's so tight. Also, it's clearly stretchy. So I have no idea why it would take her 20 minutes to descend a staircase. This dress is a very eye-smarting shade of it's not sparkly exactly, it's shiny. Shiny teal with spaghetti straps and purple ruffles around the boobs and purple and teal striped fabric as a skirt that's sort of ruched and flowy. It's ugly is what it is. It's gross.
It
Um,
looks like something out of Austin Powers.
it looks like a terrible prom dress.
So the stepmother goes, enough about me for now. And she's trying to sway Joey Parker into doing a duet with her, and he's refusing to do it. His parents are also trying to convince him he's not into it. And this is when Mary appears, and she's wearing a maid outfit, and
Mhm.
she sees Joey Parker there, so she tries to hide her face with a tray of drinks. The stepsisters then descend onto Joey Parker, and one of them goes, Joey, take me to the ball. I speak French, in a very seductive voice. And Joey just continues declining to do a duet, saying he's on a break. He's encouraged to take a break from his break. He's focusing on school, just hanging out with his friends. And this is when we find out that his best friend Dustin is also his manager. His mother is also his manager, and his father is called inconsequential. So everyone's arguing, and JP's like, this is why I didn't want to come today. You're all nuts, which is actually a feeling that I do identify with. And I was kind of like, okay, we can be friends.
During this whole goings on, the adults gesticulate wildly, routinely almost knocking the massive tray of shrimp and crab puffs out of Mary's hands, but not ever doing it until we get the line, you're going to be another teeny bopper burnout, and everyone sort of angrily stands up, throwing their chairs back and knocks over the food, and there's just hijinks.
Basically, Mary trips while holding a bunch of shrimp and bumps into JP, who falls right on top of her. And she has shrimp in her hair, and he just lays on top of her for a really long moment.
Thank you. I thought maybe my screen froze because here's the thing, when you land on top of another human, especially if you're, oh, I don't know, 100 pounds heavier and several inches taller, you get off that person right away so you don't crush them. He just lays on her, crushing her into oblivion.
I also thought that that was like a little more mature than I was expecting.
Oh yeah, I wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't like it. Also, you have shrimp in your hair. Isn't it cute? It's not a meet cute. That's not how you do meet cutes. It's not.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable.
He pulls the shrimp out of her hair and everybody sort of leaves. We see that Dominique has two shrimp, one stuck on either side of her spaghetti straps of her dress. How do you get shrimp stuck in the spaghetti straps of a skin tight gown? I want to know how something falls on you from any direction other than internally, and you wind up with shrimp in the spaghetti straps of your dress. I need the physics of this.
She clearly just put them there for later.
Like later shrimp? Okay, that would be fine. I would agree with that.
So this whole mess gets blamed on Mary.
Of course.
It's demanded that she make the room spotless, and her phone privileges are suspended. And then we get some cool rap music, I guess.
Oh, I have that. I don't have any notes on that at all. My next note is there's gonna be a dance. Mary doesn't want to go. Tammy tells her that hot guys dance the best.
It's also going to be a masked ball, and Mary has the incredible line, masks are really weird.
Because they're talking about how will you know which guys are hot guys, and Tammy goes, well, hot guys dance the best. Tammy, I agree with you. This movie also agrees with you, not making the point that it thinks it's making, but it does agree with you. Mediocre dude, mediocre dancing. But you're right, hot guys do dance the best. Again, I want a movie about Tammy. So Dominique is getting a massage from 3 dudes and is just being weird and creepy about it, which is annoying because I don't like that trope of this is a sexual massage. It's a gross joke. I don't like it. It doesn't matter that it is dudes giving a massage. It's still a gross joke. And the line is, I'm thinking of making one of them my new daddy. I mean, your new daddy, as the stepsisters walk in. Which again, stupid, gross joke. Don't like it. The stepsisters tell Dominique that Mary wants to go to the ball and that they have to stop her for reasons.
They need to stop her somehow, and they have to assign her more chores that'll keep her there. And the worst thing that they can possibly think of is assigning her the chore of cleaning Dominique's room, which looks like a hurricane hit it.
Yeah. So we also get this delightful line. They have to clean up for the party because the twins are turning 16. Didn't they turn 16 last year? Yes. And they will keep turning 16 until I tell them to stop.
Mary's also told to clean the bedroom by midnight because Dominique is clubbing with Paris, and it's her turn to host the after party tonight.
Mary looks at the room and goes, well, I'll need a flamethrower.
There's also like a decaying thing of fish sticks on the floor that she says have been there since Lent.
We then get a weird Mary cleans the room in a hazmat suit and a gas mask montage, because that's what this movie thought we needed a montage of. She does it really weirdly. She doesn't pick up all the clothes first. She leaves the clothes kind of around and does some other stuff, and then she vacuums while there's still stuff on the floor. And it's just, it was clear what they were going for, and they just did not hit it.
In the Horse Girl Cinderella, the cleaning montage was so much better.
Oh, so because she's pulling trash wrappers out of their bed. It was disgusting.
It was super gross and super believable.
Yeah, and also I want to say I think it was shorter than this montage.
Well, also they didn't do the cutesy speed it up thing. Like I don't want a fun montage of her having to clean somebody else's room.
We got 2 cleaning montages in this movie. And this is the part that we were talking about earlier where I felt joy for a moment. She hears a growling in this room. Mary looks towards a pile of clothes, which is starting to sort of jiggle and wobble and make a growling noise. And for a moment, I had this hope that the movie was just going to go off the rails and I could enjoy this off the rails scenic tour of no longer a Cinderella or even bothering to pretend to be a Cinderella show. And she sort of pokes the pile of clothes and it falls over, and it's a Pomeranian
named Manson.
And she's really happy because they've been looking for this dog since Christmas, which has so many horrific implications that I can't even start.
I refuse to engage with this at all.
Nope. She then is very happy and releases the dog outside into the world, going like, be free, which again, there are so many horrific implications to that. So we're just going to move on right now.
So Tammy shows up with the dresses and tells her that they're going to the ball after all. Mary protests because there's a whole mess that she has to clean up. And Tammy says, well, what if I could clean up the mess for you? And Mary says, then you'd be my hero, but there's no way because this is too much for someone to do alone.
Yes.
And Tammy says, well, who says I was alone? And then 3 Asian guys in like matching tracksuits come up and they're from a cleaning service.
These are her sister's boyfriend's cousins.
Yes. One of them in an accented,
very stereotypical Asian mockery accent is unpleasant. Didn't like.
He says that they're going to clean, that there's no mess too messy, and then they see the mess and they say, oh, it is too messy. So they're asked to do as much as they can and hide the van.
And now we get to thankfully leave that scene because I couldn't take it anymore.
By flashing to white, it was very like white fade out. And for a moment I was like, is this movie over and did we all die?
So we cut to the ball. The twins are there dressed in white looking for Joey. Natalia is there dressed in black, being mean-spirited. Yeah, the theme is black and white. Joey has messed with Dustin by telling him that it was a costume ball. So Dustin has showed up with big Cupid wings and a weird silver mask. Joey is wearing sort of just a tuxedo Is there such a thing as a casual tuxedo? Because it feels like that's what he's wearing.
He's wearing a three-piece suit.
Okay, thanks.
He's got a vest on under his suit. And
Okay,
he's got a fedora on again.
okay, yes, but what happened with his mask? Because his mask makes it look like his face is melting.
He has a very Magneto mask.
Yeah, okay, but Magneto's mask is in very clean lines, so it's very clearly a mask with a visor with just the nose and then square lines down by the mouth. Joey Parker is wearing sort of a gold mask that, in the dim lighting and under the shadow of his stupid fedora, is not that different from his skin tone, is wearing a mask that goes all the way up to his forehead so you can't see that there's a skin difference, and then has droopy parts that come down under the eyes sort of to halfway down the cheek level, and it just looks the way that horrible wax figurines look when you start to melt them.
It was a very weird choice. So at this moment, Tammy and Mary walk in, and everybody turns to look at them because Mary is wearing a bright red dress and a sea of black and white. And everyone's like, who didn't get the memo? Mary says, everyone's looking at me, which is correct. And Tammy says, you need a drink, and heads to the punch bowl. But because they're in high school, and the punch bowl presumably is only punch,
It's not going to really ease your nerves that much. The reason that drinks are soothing is because we put alcohol in them.
so then the taller, ditzier stepsister is like, she looks good. And then everyone looks at her and she kind of tries to bring it back and goes, not good like us, good like bad, good like bad. But I thought that was like a very gay moment.
Yeah, that was a pretty gay moment.
So I think she has a crush on her sort of stepsister.
Is she the one that compliments, that is able to say nice things about her later?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, no, I posit that she's gay. So Joey is immediately drawn to this girl in a red dress. Obviously, she's in a red dress. And so he sort of stealthily says a hi to her at the punch bowl. And you really know how to make an entrance. And she goes, yeah, nice cape. I mean, coat. And then he's standing right in front of her. She literally turns around and says to Tammy, what do I do?
Who says, say something, anything, he's cute, in the same tone of voice while he can hear her.
He's right there. He's right there.
So Mary goes, do you want some punch? Sees that he's holding some and goes, oh, you have some. That's very cool.
It's awkward and terrible. And I think they're going for awkward and cute, and they missed the last one.
It was just so painful to watch.
But then Tammy goes up to Dustin and sort of teases him about his costume, and they actually have some cute chemistry.
They do, but it once again circles around to Joey, because as he's trying to impress Tammy, he lists all these things about himself. He's like, look how good I dance, look how funny I am. And then he's like, you know what else is really cool? I'm JP's best friend.
Yeah.
And she's like, is that supposed to impress me? But they're trying to sell so hard that JP's a movie star or like a whatever.
Just that he's super popular. And
yeah, it's so weird that they cast Selena Gomez, who is now a star and wasn't then, but watching it now, like that's clearly Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
So it's so weird to me that they cast her as the nobody. And then there's the guy that I don't know playing the celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, how much better would this have worked if they had cast Justin Bieber as like a Justin Bieber knockoff?
Would have been much better. I mean, I still would have hated it, but
it would have been awful, but it would have at least,
that part would have made sense. So Joey and Mary are trying to talk, but they can't because the music's really loud. So they're just sort of shouting in one another's faces, which, again, not romantic. Joey asks Mary to dance, and Mary goes to give the DJ her Zune and says, track 5. I don't think that's how DJing at parties work.
Could you imagine if a DJ was like, yeah, anybody can hand me anything and I'll play it?
Oh my God. Do you know how much chaos I could have just,
It could have been like the chicken dance, like na 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 na.
Oh, you're so just neutral chaos. I'm rolling in here with sea shanties. I'm rolling in here with like Gregorian chants. I would mess up everything. Rollicking sea shanties, just yes. There's a reason that DJs don't let people do that, and it's people like me.
So the two of them start dancing, and I guess it's like a tango, sort of, but they're also doing a lot of other things with it.
Okay, so this is where I first have an issue with the dancing. And you're correct, Helen. It is meant to be a tango. But what happens is they get into a ballroom position and they take two steps, and she does a toe drag where you just put your foot out to one side with your toe on the floor kind of pointed and then do a sweeping circle around behind you. It's a flourish. It's a low-key flourish. It's a cool flourish. It can be used to great effect. I'm not knocking it, but Joey responds to it with, "Oh, whoa. What was that?" It was a toe circle, my man. So they do a tango, and it is well choreographed, and it is the most dramatic dance we've gotten so far, to be fair.
Mhm.
But it reads like the tango from the Mexican Cinderella, where
In
she's
that they go left and then they go right.
in that it's just a caricature, and it's it's got reasonably complex choreography, but again, neither of these people are ballroom dancers, and as good as you might be at hip hop, ballroom dancing is a different thing, and those skills, while related, are not interchangeable. And it reads that way.
I would also like to let everyone know that this is all happening while Joey has taken off his jacket and is doing this in a vest over his white shirt, and he's wearing a fedora, which Mary takes off and places on her head with a jaunty little angle, and then he takes it back and puts it on his head. And it is the most 2008 thing I have ever seen.
This is also, again, a high school dance. So the concept that you would have a clear 30-foot circle around yourselves to do ballroom dance with splits and lifts is dumb. Also, it did that thing of, we're going to do really intense choreography, or you could just dance. You can do really great dancing with not crazy lifts and splits and leg moves and weird stuff and dramatic low, or just do a good dance with connection. It's really not that hard. You don't have to do things that are that dramatic.
It successfully communicated that they both were passionate about dance. It did not communicate that they were into each other.
Or that they were really good at the thing they were passionate about.
Well, listen.
But don't worry, the stepsisters step in to take us out of this dance sequence by spilling bowls of black and white M&Ms on the floor.
That's what they were. I was like, why is there a bowl of pills at a high school party?
They're M&Ms, they're black and white M&Ms. So they spill them on the floor, and in the middle of a twirl, she falls because there's now a whole bunch of M&Ms underfoot.
And everyone laughs at her as if that's like a funny, embarrassing thing that happened and not a weird, cruel thing that everyone saw happen to her.
Yeah. She's really embarrassed by this. Joey helps her up, and she's like, and he goes, "You were really good." And she goes, "I fell." And he goes, "No, you were really good." And he takes off his mask, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're Joey." And then we hear midnight
And it
chiming.
zooms in on the clock, but it's not midnight yet, but it is chiming midnight. Because later she's like, I have to get back before midnight. Anyway.
The clock chimes. She runs over to the DJ to try to get her music back. He's taking too long, so she eventually just grabs it and runs, but she drops it on her way out, so that was a dumb scene.
And then Joey picks it up, and Tammy and Mary run away. And Mary's like, Tammy, if I don't get home by midnight, I'm dead. So I guess it's not midnight yet.
Yep. And because we're running late, the car breaks down, because that is the rules of cars breaking down, is they only break down when you're really late. And Mary gets out of the car and runs home.
Sorry, while they're in the van, they do have the discussion of, oh my gosh, he was so into you. And Mary says, yeah, because he didn't know who I was. And then she says, you really think he was into me? and then the van dies.
That was an important moment. You're correct. So they both sprint back home, and Dominique is also arriving home at this time, and they have antics where they manage to just barely hide in time. And Mary throws one of Dominique's robes around herself and her red dress and sits down on the bed just as Dominique walks in. And we have this very weird moment where Dominique says, "Do you like my after party? This is my after party. No one's coming. I'm a little Miss Not So Popular too. God, I'm so tired." And literally passes out, just passes out onto Mary and then falls off of Mary's lap onto the floor. Why was that there? Why was that moment included? Were they trying to make her compassionate the way that we get that one moment with the stepmother in Ever After that we get with Angelica Houston of, did you love my father? Oh, I barely knew him. And there's that moment of closeness that really makes her betrayal later that much more intense. Do you think they were trying to do that? Why did this line,
No.
why did this
Mm-mm.
happen?
I think that we're supposed to find the stepmother really pathetic, but also like very interesting and engaging and funny. Like I think she's supposed to be like the genie, like the big name who's really funny, who does a lot of like kooky things.
Okay, but she's not. Nothing that she does is funny in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but they keep showing her doing little like one-liners and stuff like that. So that's what this is. This is like a drama moment for her.
If you say so.
I just she never sold it. I kept thinking of the mother in Schitt's Creek who really sells being just this very melodramatic, slightly past her prime star celebrity person.
Yeah.
It was just something about it fell flat. I didn't like it.
Oh, I can tell you exactly all the things I didn't like about it. But we are still barely at the halfway mark. So the cleaning team are able to get out of the room because Dominique is passed out. So the next morning, Joey and Dustin approach a grumpy teacher to help them find their mystery girl. Their plan is to make an announcement saying that this is Joey Parker. He's found his dream girl, and she left a Zune behind. And if anybody can name the 4 most played songs on the playlist, it'll be her. And one, what? My most playeds are still screwed up for when I leave things on when I sleep when I was 12, because my Apple playlist goes back that far. So I still have, hey, you listened to this 13,000 times. Yeah, because it was on repeat for about 2 months when I was 13.
What upset me the most about this is that Dustin delivers this with a rap. He does an intro for Joey,
Yeah.
rhyming chill hottie with naughty because she ran away. Just gonna let that sit there.
That didn't upset me because he is played as the hip, cool black friend character, and that was in character for that character stereotype. So it did not catch me off guard, nor did it upset me.
I just think that spontaneous rap on the announcements in order for the main character to get with his love interest. It was so many things that were happening and I hated every single one of them.
Although, again, I would like to say, as an L, the shoe is a song. It's being able to list the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I hated L, the fact that he's going on a radio show to do that makes a lot more sense than a high school announcement. Although I do love the way they started it with, this is an administrative announcement from the administration office, which I just loved. Okay, so Joey says, "Oh, it was the best night of my life. I want to find you," whatever romantic stuff. He's saying all this over the intercom system, and we're seeing the stepsisters and also Tammy and Mary, who are all in the same math class, listen to this and respond to it. And the math teacher, who's at the board just smoking a cigar? Was he smoking a cigar?
No,
No?
he was just holding a chalk.
Okay, I looked away and I looked back and it looked like he was holding a cigar and just
No,
sort of
he was
mocking
just
him.
very frustrated with them.
Well, he was great. He's just sort of mimicking like, and so again, I like that math teacher. And so now we get the same interview of women where there's a long line of women that Joey's going to interview.
Dustin has gathered up all the girls that claim they can name the songs on the playlist, and he's lined them up single file.
Including a couple of guys.
Who he asks, "What are you guys doing?" You're definitely not the girl he danced with.
Okay. We then meet the most underrated character in the movie. We meet Cynthia. Cynthia the goth girl.
She's just very goth, and I can't tell what her deal is. I don't know if she just wants the Zune, like to have a Zune, or if she's into Joey or what. But she lists 4 songs by The Cure: Push, High, Boys Don't Cry, and Lullaby, and just says it very deadpan.
And Joey says, no, and clearly afraid of her, by the way. Says, no, sorry, those aren't. And she goes, can I have the Zune? So I think she absolutely just wants a free Zune. But then the weirdest thing is that the line after that is Joey's getting really frustrated with this group of women that he's collected for this purpose and says, these girls are all the same. My man, my dude, my guy. I assure you that they're not. For one thing, there are 2 dudes in that line. And you just interacted with Cynthia, the most terrifying goth girl in this movie. I would posit possibly in this universe. Why would that be your line?
Well,
That they're
because no one has danced with him yet.
I don't know how you could see that line of people and go, they're all the same.
None of them are dancing.
So Mary and Tammy walk by and see this line, and Mary again iterates, oh, he would be disappointed if he knew it was me. I'm not going to go.
Dustin is asking to pick up some of the slack that Joey doesn't want, which is
Yeah,
gross.
I actually thought it was worse. I thought he was saying slags, which is a
Oh,
British slang for girls who are sexually available. And
no. He said slack.
I know, which is why I was like, oh thank God. Okay, I feel better about this moment. This is still gross, but I thought this was really gross.
Oh my God.
Because he does not enunciate clearly, and I heard slag. So I was pleased that it was less gross than I thought it was.
So then Dustin is just doing the thing where he's hyping up Joey, and he's like, "Oh, you're so good. Haven't seen you dance like that since the 2006 VMAs. I think she helped you get your mojo back." And he's basically just like talking about how she brought sexy back, and now Joey is at full power.
Oh, important moment. While Mary and Tammy are talking, and Mary saying, oh, he'll be disappointed if he finds out that it was me, the stepsisters are, of course, nearby and overhear this.
Yes.
Yes. So when Mary arrives home, they again confront her and tell her that they'll put the video on YouTube if she tries to talk to him. To which Mary responds, you barely know how to work a toaster, let alone YouTube.
Which I did like. And she said, "Well, we're going to try anyway. Now go make the lamb chops. Mother is very hungry." And she said it in a really off putting way, which I kind of enjoyed. So the nerdier stepsister gets kind of weird and tenses up and goes, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go just out. I'm gonna go out. And her ditzy sister's like, okay, where are you going? And she responds really abruptly with, none of your beeswax, and then kind of readjusts and goes, for a walk in the woods. Out. I'm going out. And then waits until the second stepsister's not looking and kind of runs straight for Mary's room looking for the playlist.
Guys, she's rummaging through her clothes drawers trying to find a playlist. Eventually, she figures out that it's going to be on the computer. Playlists are a digital thing. They don't exist in a physical form. So searching an underwear drawer is going to be counterproductive. And this isn't the stepsister that we think is probably gay. So that doesn't make any sense.
She might have been looking for a flash drive.
You're being so nice to this movie. So she finds the playlist and she writes down the 4 most listened songs on her hand, and then she's at the door, and then the other stepsister comes in and smashes her with the door, and then the ditzy stepsister picks up the computer but breaks it because she can't pick up a computer, and then we're done with that scene.
Yeah, and then we get Cynthia the Goth again, who's back in line in a different location. So she hasn't just been standing there. She's wearing a completely different outfit. This one has printed safety pins all over her top, which I thought was like a cute top. Anyway, so she's like completely deadpan. Do you think you could give me a clue? And then she starts listing the genres that she thinks it might be. Emo, techno, and then she groans and goes young contemporary. And then Joey tells them all to disperse, and now he's wearing a green fedora. And he and his best friend Dustin do their weird pep talk in which Dustin's like, "What's your name?" And Joey has to go, "Joey Parker." And Dustin's like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Joey Parker." And they're kind of like grinning at each other. And it's very like, you're the man, you're the guy. I hate it.
Yeah. The hype thing would work better if one of the sides wasn't just, you person, repeat your name. I don't know anybody else, but I don't get hyped up by just repeating my own name. It's not a thing I do to get hyped. So we get the line, Joey Parker always gets his girl, whatever.
Yuck.
But then Britt, the really intense nerdy one, descends like a velociraptor.
And she totally can prove that she knows all the songs on the list, because here are the 4 top songs. They are All Fall Down, She Wants to Move, Sun Ponder Replay, and Hips Don't Lie.
Hips Don't Lie.
It's amazing.
It's so funny.
Anyways. Joey is very skeptical and he demands that she dance. She says that she can't dance because there's no music, and he tells her that the girl that he danced with the previous night would be able to dance even without music. So then she does this really uncomfortable, like, "I love to dance and sing," like weird breathy voice.
Yep.
And just does like a lot of upsetting hand motions and like touches herself and kind of seizes all over the place.
Yeah, I have that she proceeds to fondle herself and have an aneurysm.
Yeah, and then she says again, "I lose control when I'm dancing."
Yep. So, real brief cut, Mary is concerned the stepsister's going to release the tapes, and then real hard cut back to the second sister doing the exact same thing. She accosts Joey at a vending machine, and we get essentially the same scene again, but we do get this lovely line where Joey says, way, 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 way deep inside, I'm sure you're a lovely person.
She also says that she can prove that she's the one through dance, and she starts kind of chanting as she dances, like cha-cha-cha and pa-pa-pa. And he kind of backs away.
He just walks away. It's great. So Tammy and Mary are in the Great Pumpkin talking, and Tammy is trying to convince Mary that she should go talk to Joey and say hi. And just at this moment, who should walk by but Joey and Dustin, because that's how movies work. So Mary goes to talk to him, and he recognizes her from the disastrous shrimp-based lunch at Dominique's house. And she tries to tell him that she's the girl, but Joey thinks that Dominique has sent her and just blows her off and tells her to go away and walks away and is a super jerk. And Mary is really sad about it.
He completely doesn't recognize her as the dancing girl in the mask because she wore a domino mask. And though she has the same face and the same hair as she did before, the domino mask is very confusing to him.
This was the most believable I don't recognize you, though.
Really?
Yeah, because her mask was covering a lot more of her face than anybody else's mask was covering. And they didn't talk. They established that they couldn't really hear each other at the party because it was too loud. So they just danced. So While I absolutely believe that if they were blindfolded and were put together and made to dance together again, he would recognize her as, "Oh, I remember dancing with you. I remember this feeling."
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing her is not gonna trigger that memory for him, especially and not hearing her voice, because it's not like they spent a lot of time hanging out together and talking and having a romantic conversation. So this was the most believable I do not recognize you.
Okay, but she's also the only one in the entire school that we see with black hair.
No, no. Cynthia has black hair.
But it's much shorter.
Okay, well, we didn't see everybody in the school, Talon. They didn't show us every single person.
I'm just saying, if she had been blonde, I'd be like, yeah, there's like 5 other blondes, but she wasn't blonde. She had really dark hair, and I thought that that made it obvious as the primary way by which I identify people that I know and should know well enough to identify by face. It's just it's the same hair, so I don't understand why he didn't get that.
Okay, I agree with you.
So
Okay.
then we have the second party.
Yeah.
For the stepsisters.
Yeah, the stepsisters' 16th
Again
party. And Mary again is working as a servant.
Tammy shows up and offers to help.
Dominique is lip syncing badly and just sort of heckling the crowd about not paying more attention to her. Dustin shows up because the whole school is there, I guess. And he recognizes Tammy immediately.
By her purple highlights.
Okay, but the purple highlights are distinctive.
Yes, I'm just saying hair is the first thing that people go to when they don't remember someone's face.
Or Dustin is a better Prince character than Joey.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. So Dustin recognizes Tammy and sort of tries to flirt with her, and she sort of blows him off, but they have the same exchange, and yeah, they're into each other. And Dustin confides in Tammy that Joey is super in love with this girl and they have to find her. And I couldn't type fast enough, y'all. I really tried. What winds up happening is Tammy says she's here. Dustin calls Joey to say, yes, she's here. Joey has been sitting outside in his parked car like a creep. Comes in. Dominique stops him, and we get this very weird, hey, let's do it.
From the stepmother.
From the stepmother. Yeah, just aggressively propositioning Joey, who, if we are to believe this movie, is 18 at most.
Yeah, and he says not if the human race depended on it, and she repeats the same insult back to him, but into the mic so that everyone hears and thinks that she's the one who's rejecting him.
Okay, but she goes, not if the human race depended on it, and apes took over the world, and we were the only ones with opposable thumbs. Apes have opposable thumbs? So I realize that this is a weird point for me to get hung up on, but of all the...
I also don't know what opposable thumbs have to do with singing.
Oh, nothing? I don't know why opposable thumbs are in this at all. I don't know why you think apes are going to take over the world. It's very obviously going to be cockroaches. But also, why would you not think that apes have opposable thumbs?
So anyway, Dustin tells Joey that she's here. He doesn't know what she's wearing, but she's definitely here. And again, Mary runs into Joey. She's still holding a platter of crab cakes and goes, hey. And he's like, wow, crab cakes. And he goes, can I ask you a question? Have you seen a girl who can dance like you've never seen before? So once again, he has her right in front of him and doesn't recognize her. And she's trying to tell him, oh, well, actually about that. And she's trying to tell him it was her. But then everyone starts laughing because her stepsisters are playing the tape of her at 11 years old, telling the world that she loves Joey Parker and that he's very kissable.
And doing an embarrassing pseudo chicken dance.
And the first thing out of JP's mouth is that you? Which is incredible to me, because how is it that he can recognize her with a 5-year age difference, but can't recognize her in a mask between one day apart?
I have no idea. I can't explain it. Also, just the premise of, have you seen a girl who can dance like no one else? I don't know how to tell you this, my dude, but most people don't walk around dancing, and it's not really a physical trait that you'd be able to see just by noticing. I could walk into a room of people and be able to say, that person's really tall, but I wouldn't necessarily know if somebody was a professional ballerina unless that somehow came up in a charades capacity or something.
It is genuinely a worse method of finding the girl he's missing than asking everyone to try on a shoe.
Right? Because that's at least a physical trait. Look, this is a tiny shoe.
Because he's likely to at least narrow it down somewhat.
Absolutely.
This is the worst criteria.
Yeah.
So Mary runs away. Meanwhile, Joey Parker's kind of like, no, it's okay. And he does seem pretty unfazed by the whole thing. So that's a plot point that went nowhere.
Yeah. As it went nowhere in Elle, by the way. That plot point of, oh no, you had a childhood crush on a childhood pop star? So did literally everybody. Who cares? No one. Moving on. I don't know why you think that's embarrassing.
Who could say? Except apparently the producers and directors of both of these terrible adaptations. So Mary pulls off the uniform and there's a purple wrap dress underneath that has like this halter top kind of very 2008 upper top thing. You do the dress words.
I didn't see a dress in this scene because I thought she was getting ready to run away because she's taking out a box full of stuff from her room.
Yeah, because she found a boom box and then she starts playing it like a creeper from outside.
Yeah, she goes and stands outside the party window and starts to play music from a boombox.
In the dark, just waiting for Joey Parker to look out the window.
Which he does and goes out and goes, you're the one. So I don't know what her dress is. I did not notice it. I was too stunned by this boombox thing because what I expected to happen was that she leaves in tears and he follows her like a gentleman to assure her that this is not embarrassing and that he's so happy that he's found her and that everything is fine. But no, she leaves in tears to go get a boombox to come and stalker him with a boombox.
She appears to be correcting for being too effusive in her love of him by being once again too effusive and just doing something that's just too over the top and like breaks the social contract.
So he gives her her Zune back and apologizes for being a jerk, this was a good apology because he identified what he did wrong.
He was like, you tried to tell me at school too. I'm so sorry. I'm such a jerk. It was good.
It was good. That was a good apology.
It's also cold outside and he gives her his jacket and they don't really say anything until she says, you don't have to pretend to like me. I've had enough charity to last me a lifetime. And he assures her that this isn't charity. She dances incredibly and he's like very into that. And she says that her mom was a dancer and I guess it's in my blood. And he breaks out with, so you really think I'm totally kissable, which is what she said in the embarrassing tape when she was 11. And she kind of goes, no, I don't, whatever. And he's like, too bad. I thought it was cool.
And he asks her out on a date, but then Dominique calls Mary in and she leaves. And he goes, wait, aren't you going to give me an answer? And she goes, yes, and then leaves. Which I think was supposed to be a clever, are you going to give an answer? Yes, the answer is yes. I think that was supposed to be a clever moment.
If it was, then it didn't work.
Oh, no, it didn't work, but I think somebody thought they did a good job. Somebody gave themselves a pat on the back for that.
So the alarm beeps and Mary gets up and she's smiling and there's a whole bunch of X's on her calendar and today is circled and she gets to put an X inside the circle and she's very excited. She skates to school and
so she runs to her mailbox and she opens it and she pulls out a letter and screams and then skateboards to school. No, like that part matters.
No, I missed that.
Oh, yeah, she grabs a letter out of her mailbox, screams, and then skateboards into school, into the main hallway, and into Joey.
So apparently she's gotten into the top 20 for the Manhattan edition, and Joey congratulates her by saying, Mary, that's amazing. You want me to help show you some moves? I could help you practice. And I hated that.
Okay, so at this moment, I had mixed feelings. One, their body language with one another is it's very affectionate. So she's hugging him, he's got his arm around her. It feels affectionate without being sort of grossly sexual. And he's clearly really excited for her. And he lets her babble on and on about how, oh, she got the audition and there were this many out of 500 and that means that I'm in the top 20 and that means that I got at this, and he's just listening to her be very excited and is very excited for her excitement, which is a healthy green flag partner trait. So I liked that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this universe, he is a famous dancer and he also wants to spend time with her. So I thought at this moment that the, hey, do you want me to help you with some moves, was just sort of a, this is a thing we both do. Do you want to do some dance moves and we can work on stuff together? At this moment, I perceive that as, this is kind of cute.
Yeah, but he like goes on to say later that he taught her everything she knows. He says the teaching her line a couple of times, and it rubbed me the wrong way every time.
It did. We got to get to that part later because again, by the time we get to the end, I will have different feelings. But in this moment, I was on the, no, this is cute. This is a reasonable sort of reaction, cute date thing. Sure, whatever. The Manhattan Academy of Performing Arts, that's what it is, and it was
that's what it is.
Calls, and the lady from the Manhattan Academy of Performing Arts is playing with this giant rubber band ball in her hands or something. It's a bizarre choice of prop to hold. But she calls and she gets Dominique, and
who's eating fried chicken.
Sitting on her bed eating a giant bucket of fried chicken, and is trying to schedule an audition for Mary. And Dominique goes, "Oh no, well that's terrible. That won't do." And tells the lady that Mary has broken both of her legs and not to call again because it's just a painful reminder that her dancing days are over. And then she leaves for somewhere.
So Mary and Joey pull up to the house, and Joey's like, oh, well, maybe the Wicked Witch took the broom with her, and you're free for the rest of the weekend. And they see a list of chores taped to the door, and they untape it, and it unfolds to be a much longer list than originally appeared. It's just the list of everything that she has to do while the stepmother is gone. And they get another montage. There's a dance montage while cleaning.
We got to go into this in more depth. So the first item on this list is to paint the pool pink.
Yes.
So it's things of that level of idiocy.
Vacuum the driveway.
Just insane things. And it turns out that the stepsisters have given her this list because the stepsisters are evil.
Mary's upset because this means that she won't get to practice because there's too many chores to do. And Joey says, unless you do your work while you do her work. And there's a dance montage while they clean while doing dance moves. And they're stupid dance moves. And no cleaning is actually getting done. And none of this is any of the things that they're trying to do. And I hate it.
I hated it for all of those reasons. But additionally, what basically happens is he rolls into this situation that he is not familiar with, sees a giant list of chores, and basically says, well, have you ever considered trying to have fun while you're being a slave? And I get that the movie is trying to portray this as trying to help her, trying to lighten the load. I get what they're trying to do, but what they've done is, hey, you want to have a mediocre white dude come in, mansplain to you how to do something better, and then bother you while you try to do it so that nothing gets done?
He also tells her, you're good, but I think we need to work on your technique a little bit.
To which she responds with, well, you need to lighten up.
You need to loosen up a little more.
You need to loosen up a little more. Thank you. It's playful. I like that they have a playful vibe with one another and that it's not all melodramatic nonsense. I like that they're playful. I don't like the cleaning montage. The cleaning montage is dumb. Anyways, so the stepsisters and Natalia are spying on them and are mad that
Natalia's like, I feel very upset right now.
Their plan backfired.
Yeah, because their plan backfired. They were the ones that created the list, and instead it's brought them closer. And then the ditzier stepsister's like just giving her compliments again and says she's like a good height for him and she has pretty hair.
So that's prompted by Natalia going, "What does he see in her?"
Oh,
And the gay stepsister responds with, "Well, she's a good height for him, and she has pretty hair." It's just,
I'm telling you, I think she's got a big crush on her.
I think she does. There are so many better stories you could tell with these characters, and I'm annoyed that we didn't get to see any of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So we cut back to our primary couple, and Joey has picked up a guitar now, and it's out of tune. To which he responds, "Oh, I think you need a new guitar."
I thought he broke a string.
No, it's just out of tune.
That's sort of like seeing that your clothes are dirty and saying it's time to throw them out instead of just washing them.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And he says that he is writing a new song and asks her to help him with the harmonies.
And she says no, and he says, I think you want to help me with my harmony.
Yeah. So he
Then they
starts,
sing, and it's bad.
oh, it's bad on so many levels. So, one, he starts to sing it to her, and she immediately starts to harmonize. Harmonizes in strong scare quotes here. Here's the thing about harmonizing, you have to be familiar with the melody in order to harmonize. Otherwise, you're just making noise on top of somebody else's noise. He's also playing the guitar, which, as we've just stated, is out of tune. So I don't know what he thinks he's doing. And because she's clearly never heard this melody before, and they have not worked out proper harmonies, and they've not practiced any harmonies, he is singing a very dumb tune, and she is just off key, quietly trying to sing sort of a third above a tune that she has never heard before. You can't harmonize on tunes that you haven't heard before. So I hated it, is what I'm saying. I hated it. It ends with her lying down, and he's saying that this is that he came back to remember why he started to dance in the first place, and that dancing with her made him remember why he started dancing. And then he sort of sexily hovers over her, sort of like a Spider-Man kiss, but horizontally. And he says, "We should pick this up tomorrow." And she goes, "Do you mean in my house or in this position?" And he goes, "I'm not that kind of guy," but really sort of in a sultry way. And she goes, "Well, I'm not convinced."
He's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, and you're getting closer. He's like, and so are you with your moves. And then, like, there's a whole thing about, like, do you mean my dance moves? It just keeps going. And it's so dumb.
It's so dumb. And it's so uncomfortable because she's 16 and she looks like she's 14.
She
And he
looks very young. I don't believe that she knows what she's saying.
and he does not look very young. I mean, he's obviously young, but he does not look like a teenager. I'm going to Google real quick how old he was.
I want to know.
Drew Seeley was born in 1982.
What?
So
No.
he's 26 when this movie was made.
Oh, I hate knowing that.
Yeah, and the age difference between 26 trying to be a teenager and literally 16 but looks like 14, possibly 12 is just a little awkward for
Oh, I
me, the
don't like
viewer.
that. I don't like that.
Nope. So
So the stepsisters set Mary up just by distracting her until the doorbell rings, and they're very conspicuous, like, oh, who could that be? And it's a bouquet of roses that say, meet me on the back patio tonight, and it's signed JP.
Mary is really touched by these flowers, and she goes to the back patio of his parents' house, which I guess she knows where that is. And he sees that he is in bed and Natalia is there. Now, I want to be clear. I was surprised by the scene because the wiki article says that she finds him in bed with Natalia on top of him.
Yikes. No,
And
that's
that's
not what happened.
and that's not what happens. So he is in bed. He's wearing a tank top, and the covers are over him, but it turns out that he's wearing full length pajama pants as well. So, and Natalia is indeed dressed provocatively. She's wearing a fancy short dress and they're not fishnet tights, but they're some sort of sexy tights and heels or something. And she's sitting on his bed and sort of leaning towards him, but she's sitting at his knees. She's not sitting right next to him. Anyway, so
If anything, it looks like he's sick.
it does. It looks like she's brought him some chicken soup or something. Anyways, Mary sees this and runs away crying just in time to not see Joey push Natalia away. And he gets out of bed. We see that he's wearing, again, full pajama pants. He has heard the noise that Mary made as she ran away. And so he gets out of bed and goes onto the patio and she follows him. Joey breaks up with Natalia again. At this point, my notes go, Jesus Christ, there are 30 minutes left.
Ugh.
Which I told Talon, and Talon was mad at me that I pointed that out.
I didn't like knowing that then, and I don't like knowing that now.
It was so painful. We ended the Cinderella. So here's the thing. Elle had the decency to only have an extra half hour of Cinderella. This movie had a whole extra hour of Cinderella.
Not Cinderella.
Of movie after the Cinderella part was done.
Mary's upset. She comes home and Dominique is on the sofa claiming to do yoga. And she has some more backhanded things to say to her, like, have you been crying or are you naturally puffy? Come on, sit down. And she asks her if Joey has found somebody prettier and more successful, and tells her that Joey's an Hollywood true story just waiting to happen, and that it's kind of pathetic that she's so hung up on him. And she says, I can't wait to get out of here and move to Manhattan, at which point Dominique breaks the news to her that they called and that it was a mistake and that she's not going anywhere. And then she tells her, I'm so glad we had this little talk. I've always wanted to be the mother you never had.
If you're gonna make a one-dimensional evil character, you gotta do a good one-dimensional evil character. The super one-dimensional evil stepmother in the Hilary Duff Cinderella, Fiona is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And she is extremely one-dimensional. Her dimensions are boobs and salmon. That's it.
That's all she's got.
And it's phenomenal, and it absolutely works. This doesn't, even though Fiona also says some extremely cruel things to Sam in the other movie. This was just sort of randomly cruel. Like, it didn't make sense in the context. It was cruelness that made no sense in any universe.
It's just kind of arbitrarily cruel. The fact that the stepsisters were the ones that made the list while Dominique was gone for the weekend meant that Dominique didn't leave her anything to do that weekend.
Yeah.
It just oscillates so wildly between her genuinely like taking her in and her just being tyrannical.
It does not make any sense. So we cut to the next day at school. Dustin is telling everybody about one of their tours. It was the Japan tour, and it was awesome because it was kind of like a Bruce Lee movie with no subtitles.
Yep.
Mary comes in and Joey runs to her and is really excited, and she's furious, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And she basically goes, were you toying with me? And he goes, no. And she goes, she just continually asks him a bunch of questions, to which he very justifiably says, I don't know what you're talking about. Please tell me. He does not get mad. He's just, I'm really confused. And she goes, it doesn't even matter. We're over. And she walks away. And then we get this weird moment where he goes after her for a second and does the sort of boyfriend romantic grab move where he sort of grabs her shoulder and puts his hand around the nape of her neck, and she just shoves his hands away. And that moment felt really weird for me. I did not like that, because what's happening in the scene is that a 26-year-old is grabbing a 16-year-old by the nape of her neck and pulling her in while she is crying and telling him to leave her alone. I hated it, is what I'm saying.
It was very awful.
It was. So we move on now, and Joey has enlisted Dustin to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And Dustin goes,
He's
no worries.
He's enlisted him for damage control.
Damage control. I had blocked that line. Thank you for reintroducing that to me. So they go to talk to Tammy, the best friend, but Tammy, of course, has already heard and is also furious. They knock on the room where she's in, and she closes the blinds. She does it a couple of times, and then
They beat her to the back door and insist that she listen to them. And she goes, I know you cheated. And he says it's not true. And they rehash the whole Natalia thing. And JP explains that there's nothing going on between them and that this is crazy. And then is told that by Tammy that they rejected her, they changed their mind. And Joey decides that they're going to rechange their mind and that he's going to win her back. And no one really believes in him. And we get another version of the what's my name bit, but now it's Joey Parker saying what's my name, and they reluctantly chant Joey Parker at him. And I waited for it to stop.
if I ever come up with a self-hype that's that awful, please don't ever let me say it out loud.
Yeah,
Just-
you can have things that hype you up. I don't want to hear it. I don't
No.
want to hear his name being chanted.
No, if it's ever that dumb, please just come and put duct tape around my mouth and leave me to think about the consequences of my actions.
Will do. Dustin and Tammy drive up to Mary, and they're like, we need to show you something. There was a misunderstanding. You and JP were like moths drawn to each other's flame, and you have to trust your friends. None of it made any sense. And afterwards, he said that he's been watching Dr. Phil and really practicing this. They tell Mary to wear something nice, and then it's raining a whole bunch. And then we see that it's the Los Angeles dance off. And the Great Pumpkin bus stops right in front of it, and they've brought her to Joey's competition, where in order to make up for her not getting her audition because she might be seen. And they tell her to contemplate the most important moment of her life. She says she's done dancing.
Then we get a great line from Tammy where Tammy just says in a very heartfelt tone of voice, "Trust me." And Tammy is the only trustworthy person in this movie.
Oh, for
And
sure.
they very clearly have a solid best friendship that goes both ways. It's not a one-dimensional friendship. So Tammy's playing the trust me card works really well here, I think. So they go around the back because valeting is expensive. And Dominique is in this party being rude and celebrity-ish, just moving people out of the way and just generally being awful. If you can imagine an awful thing happening, she does it. That's how it goes.
Basically, every scene they cut to her sitting in her seat, and she just cracks a roast line, and then they cut back to the scene. And they do this every couple of minutes.
Now the dance competition is about to start. Dustin rolls onto stage and starts hyping it up. And then Joey comes on stage and announces that the challenge will be based on individuality, skill, and style. I would like to posit that individuality and style are the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's the triple threat.
Oh, yeah, clearly counting as one of his threats.
So the judges are from his record label, and they're going to pick the winner who will then dance with him in his next music video.
And then we get a dance competition. It's not exactly a montage, but we get to watch a dance competition for about 15 minutes. The dancers who are performing are doing really impressive stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing breakdancing where they're just balancing on their hands and moving themselves in circles low to the ground, but just balancing on their hands. They're doing a lot of really, really impressive dance moves. Way more impressive than we've seen heretofore in this.
Yeah, this was a mistake. They shouldn't have shown us professional dancers.
No, they should not have, because it really highlights the, oh no, I was not wrong. These people can't dance.
Yeah.
So
we get a guy doing the Swan Lake Ballet. People laugh at him, and Dominique says ballet's for girls.
Well, he's also not doing anything dramatically ballet.
Well, put a loose start on him too.
He's doing fine. He's just not doing any really dramatic ballet moves, and we only see him for a couple of seconds. I am really lucky there is an excellent ballet company where I live, and I get to go to their performances, and The guys in that ballet company have done some just physics defying, flying gorgeous levels of dance. They have left me breathless. So ballet is for everybody. I did not find this ballet particularly impressive because he is only on screen for a couple of seconds and doesn't do really anything. He doesn't do any splits or jumps or twirls or anything. He just sort of does a couple of poses and then we're done. I thought it was a waste of a ballet segment, is what I'm saying. I think they should have done more
Okay.
ballet.
Okay. Like maybe with some mice.
Oh yeah, I think there should have been a frog ballet. That should have been good. We should have just subbed out that whole ballet scene.
There's a bunch of different dance groups, and they're all doing like hip hop.
Yeah, a couple of really cool hip hop dudes come out. Dominique's one liner to them is, "They're poisoning the minds of our youth because they're black." And Dominique is also racist, as well as every other horrible thing.
Oh, I thought it was because they were kind of grinding on each other.
I don't think they were grinding on each other. They weren't even close to one another. I think it's because they're black.
Oh no. Okay.
Everything was awful. Okay, but then we get a great moment where Justin, who's been hyping everything up, now goes, "Okay, well, Bree and Britt, the stepsisters, will be on to do something." And indeed, something is what we get.
They do a weird dance. They take turns and they just do like kind of weird, awkward hand moves. And there's a lot of like exhalations. So they're just breathing loudly as they do it.
It's very jerky. They are attempting to do something semi-robotic, but they are failing at everything. It is awkward and ugly and unpleasant, and people are booing them. Dominique is very pleased with them, obviously.
Dustin kind of cackles and says that was just terrible. Thank God that's over.
Which
No, that was that him or was that me?
No, that's Dustin.
Oh, I couldn't tell if that was the note I left for myself or if that's the thing that Dustin said.
No, that is what Dustin said, but it is what both of us were thinking. We then get Natalia's performance, and she is doing something.
It's modern dance.
Modern, sort of lyrical. It's fine.
It's not any better than like the kind of stuff I was doing when I was in high school, and it was not very good.
I was gonna say, I feel like I saw this at one of your dance recitals that I went to, and it was fine. Like, it was lovely.
It's not like dance competition to be in a music video impressive.
Oh yeah, it is not a professional level of dancing. This is a talented teenager. Congratulations. Dominique is pretending to sleep during this because she finds it boring. Tammy tells Mary, "You're so much better than her." And Dustin has to literally shove Natalia out of the spotlight at the end of it, which is just another weird joke that didn't land.
I don't think it was because he had to. I think it's because he's mad at her.
No, she wouldn't leave the stage.
Oh.
She wouldn't leave. She's just staying on stage with him, and he had to just shove her out of the spotlight, which doesn't make any sense.
So then Dustin declares that it's getting hot in there, and that was weird. And he says that it's time for the judges to decide who the winner is, because that was the last dancer of the night, and everyone kind of boos. And he says, "Oh, did you want a special number?" And everyone cheers. And it's him. Dustin is also dancing. And if your manager wants to be in your music video, shouldn't you just let him?
Or get a new manager. If your manager
like,
isn't
don't make him jump through all the hoops of being in a dance competition.
Yeah, no, just either let him in as like, "Yeah, no, I like this guy. He's my dance manager," or get a dance manager whose aspirations are not competing with you. Anyways, so it ends, people clap, and Dustin goes, "Oh no, just kidding, that wasn't it." And
he says, "What's in store is a lot more crazy." And once again, he's like, "Oh, me, I'm nothing. Check out my cool best friend. He's so cool." And JP goes on stage in, again, a vest and a fedora and does like a Justin Timberlake thing where he's got all these backup dancers. And I guess it's meant to be sexy, but mostly they're just doing a lot of twirling and then throwing their hands out.
I thought this was the routine from the beginning.
Oh, was it?
I think, maybe. I don't know.
And then he starts singing, and it's the song about like the real him that he was trying to get Mary to harmonize with him on.
Yeah. I'm going to just read you my exact notes. Oh no. Joey is singing. Oh no. Joey is singing the song that he was writing with Mary. Something about taking my fears away, making me strong enough, dancing is the truth. Something, whatever, nonsense. And then Joey sort of stops the performance in the middle of everything and goes, hold on, I want this to be perfect. And it won't be perfect until I have someone special standing next to me. And the crowd screams. And Natalia sort of waves at him coquettishly. And Joey goes, Mary, are you out there? Mary, are you here? And Dustin and Tammy look around and they've lost track of where Mary is. And Joey is now starting to panic and is saying, Mary, come on. I know you're here. Mary, come on. So then Dustin starts a slow chant of Mary, Mary that everyone picks up on because it's really easy to start a slow chant. And Dominique tries to co-opt it with Dominique, which is just her. Mary gets found in the crowd, essentially. The spotlight finds her or something. It's unclear.
It's so gross and coercive.
Oh, this whole scene is just oof.
He asks Mary to come up and dance with him, and she says, dance with you, no thanks. And he says, maybe I'm wrong, but you're the most amazing dance partner I've ever had. And then, as an aside to everybody else, he goes, even though I taught her everything she knows. And then she goes, that's funny. You forgot why you even started dancing until you met me. And the crowd goes, oh. And after every single thing they say to each other, the crowd reacts in some way, and they keep going back and forth.
They're just having a roast battle now. Roasts are fun when they're good natured. She's furious. She thinks that he's been having sex with his very hot ex-girlfriend.
That bed scene was so jarring to me. I don't see why they couldn't have just been like wearing all of their regular clothes sitting on top of the bed, and she like leans in for a kiss and then he pulls back. Like, why the bed? Because everything about this felt so PG for me. And then the bed scene was just like a really different tone.
I mean, it was trying to be a really different tone, but they were fully I am wearing less clothes now. They were trying to make a non-PG moment and they really failed.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was just jarring. It was weird. Anyway, their weird roast thing continues because he's like, bring yourself up here and show me what I remembered. And she goes, ooh, I guess I better. Was it a little boy band move like this? And everyone's like, ooh. It just keeps going.
It keeps going. And so they dance for literally 1 or 2 seconds each. And then the music stops and they roast one another up. And what was that? That was you. Oh, I get that he's trying to do the thing of she's not listening. Let me make her so mad that she listens. Who do they think that works on?
I think this kind of scene is really cute in movies in which they're competitors.
Yeah.
But they're not competitors. This is his competition, and she's in it, and she says X, and she thinks he cheated on her.
Also, she doesn't want to be in it. She did not agree to be in it. She's being heckled and roasted in front of a massive stadium of people. No part of her is happy. She is being mean, and rightfully so. So they dance, and then their dancing energy is angry, and then
they just alternate back and forth with like beat that, beat this, and it's mostly just hip hop stuff and flailing their arms a lot and just striking poses.
But then he grabs her wrist and pulls her in close because now they're doing tango. Again, sort of. It's like the same, but before and different. The college lady is impressed because they've seen that the college admissions lady is there in the audience. Because he invited her. That was part of his whole thing. And my next note is, oh good. Joey's singing to her. Oh good.
Yay.
And I just have the line, come on, I can't do this without you. And then she's singing with him too. And here's the thing, y'all, singing in unison isn't harmony. That's not how I mean, you can do a dramatic moment when you end in a unison in an octave or something, but you can't just be you can't do the whole thing like that. It's not a harmony that way. We also get the line in this. Tell me if I got this wrong. The line is, "You're the new classic, the BLT."
No, the PYT.
Is that a different type of sandwich?
No,
What is it?
I
Do you
don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna rant about how that's not how classics work because
Oh, Pretty Young Thing. It's a song by Michael Jackson.
oh, I hate that. Ew. No. No, thank you. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
So my notes say that they sing fine, but like average karaoke singer fine.
Yeah, that is an accurate assessment. This song, I guess, ends on thunderous applause. Dominique is hollering, "You're showing off, stop showing off." Natalia is furious, and Mary runs off stage to hug a backup dancer.
Yeah, that was a really weird moment. I noticed that too.
Yep, it's not Tammy, it's not Justin, it's certainly not Joey. It's a backup dancer who we have never met or interacted with. So that part was bizarre. And Joey follows her off stage to say that she was amazing and that he was set up by the stepsisters. He goes, "Believe me, no matter what they do, we were meant to be together." And Mary goes, "I believe you." And Joey goes, "Good, because I'm totally kissable. I hate him. I hate him."
It's so dumb. It's the second time he's used that line on her.
I think he might be my new least favorite prince.
Yeah.
Because this is coercive and gross. Okay, so we're almost done. We're almost through this. So the judges give him the results. Mary wins, obviously. And she
Mhm.
runs on stage to jump hug him because all of her anger is gone now. He spins her around. Dominique starts shouting, "Oh, it's fixed. It's a fixed competition." And Natalia comes up and goes, "It's not fair. But you are really good," and bursts into tears and runs away. Why did that happen?
I don't know, but I hope Natalia and the obviously gay stepsister hook up.
Oh, me too. Oh, that's good. Happily ever after. So Dominique climbs up on stage now and starts dressing down Mary, saying, "How dare you embarrass me? You've embarrassed me and your stepsisters and yourself, and you've humiliated us." And in the middle of this tirade, the college admissions Manhattan lady shows up and goes, "You dance spectacularly well for someone with two broken legs." Dominique basically storms off, walks directly off the stage, falls onto somebody.
And breaks both her legs.
Okay, but when we say breaks both her legs, that sort of implies that it was a painful experience. She's lying on the ground, totally chill, like she just got too drunk and fell over and can't get up, and says, "I think I broke something," in that exact tone and intonation.
Yeah.
So we find out later that she has, in fact, fallen 5 feet off a stage and broken both her legs. If I cut into my cuticle or the quick of my nail, I make more dramatic sounds than this lady having evidently broken both her legs.
So the lady from the school tells her that they would be honored if she would come study with us. Full scholarship, call me on Monday, and hands her card and leaves. Which, like, I can't believe that dancing got her a full scholarship.
That's not also how scholarships work. There's a committee that. Oh, okay. So,
I mean, she clearly got it because she had a powerful friend call in a favor, is what happened.
well, so I like to think that that was a just him trying to get her the audition that she deserved, that she was supposed to have. And the lady was just told, "Hey, come here. I think you're going to see a dancer that you really, are interested in." And then she recognizes, "Oh, I remember that name, Mary Santiago," and realizes, and then just decides to treat this as the audition.
Okay.
And on the strength of her performance, grants her the scholarship. And that is the most charitable light I can see this in.
You know what? I'll take it. I'm gonna go with this version. I like it better.
Okay, good. So Mary kisses Joey, but sort of in the background. We don't really focus on this kiss. This is their first kiss. This is sort of the big romantic kiss, but we don't focus on it. It's just happening in the background.
Tammy and Mary announced that they're going to call each other every day and that they'll fly and go shopping in Paris one day.
So this is the next day or later. This is later. This is a
Yes.
flash forward as Mary's getting ready to leave for Manhattan.
Yes. Dominique is in a wheelchair with casts on the bottoms of both of her legs. So the two stepsisters are wearing matching tracksuits and they're in charge of taking care of Dominique, which is the worst punishment, obviously.
Obviously. And they're helping her with meds and stuff. Dominique is in a wheelchair, but she also stands up and walks for a bit in a weird sort of waddly penguin type way, which I've never broken a bone, but I assume that the reason you're in a wheelchair is because you can't put weight on your legs.
Yeah, she probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, probably not. So she's begging Mary to help her with meds, with something, and the scene setting is very strange because Dominique and both stepsisters are on the landing of this large staircase, which is about 4 steps up. Mary and Joey are just making out at the foot of the staircase while the stepmother heckles them,
Yeah.
which is weird. And Mary ends with the parting line, "I don't work for you anymore," and walks away. And Dominique ends with, "Don't leave me with these people. Don't be my frenemy. Oh no, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling abandoned, and we're done." That's the line they chose to end the movie with.
Yeah, they really thought they had something.
And my notes then go, oh, credits. Oh no, more songs.
Well, so the song is the Tell Me Something I Don't Know song, and it just flashes random dancing scenes at you with the credits.
But it's done now. We've finished this movie. It's over.
Thank God.
Thank God. I'm going to invent a new god to thank for when these movies end. Did you have a high for this movie?
Not even for a second.
Really?
I
Nothing?
had nothing that I enjoyed.
That's fair.
If I had to pick something, I guess the two scenes with Cynthia the Goth were kind of funny. I think that's when this movie came the closest to that sort of cult classic teen movie vibe.
Okay.
But it's a stretch to say that I liked it.
And of the many, many, many options for lows, can you pick a single lowest?
It's so hard. It's so hard. I think it's got to be every time they yell Joey Parker's name in a mantra to psych him up. What's your name? Joey Parker? No, say it louder. What's your name? Joey Parker. It was just like a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
What about you? What are your highs and lows?
Oh, my high is Tammy. Just,
Oh, I did like Tammy.
yeah. Too bad. I get the easy high for once. Yeah, Tammy was phenomenal. I loved every scene that she was in. I found her acting very believable. Everything about her was unique and very real and very heartwarming, very touching. I really enjoyed Tammy. I liked her as a person. I think I'd want to be friends with her if I knew her. I think she grows up to be a really great designer. I see high things for Tammy and I wish her nothing but the best.
Tammy's great. I agree with all of that.
Yeah. I'm trying to pick a low.
Good luck.
Oh, the implications of losing a Pomeranian for several months.
Oh, yes.
Like, we didn't really get into it. We're both dog people. Talon's got a beloved dog. I have 3 beloved dogs. The concept that you would lose a dog indoors for months, because it's summer when this is happening. Just the implications of what that dog has been eating, the health of that dog. Also, the dog is perfectly well groomed, which it's not. You have to groom Pomeranians pretty regularly. That dog would be matted and emaciated. That room would be full of feces and urine. And the reveal of just, oh, it's a cute little Pomeranian that we lost for 6 months because dogs are just basically toys. I hated it. I hated all of it. I hated. And then she just, it's like, oh, go be free. And it opens the door so I can run out into the street to die and starve in the wilderness. I was so angry.
I hated that so much.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking in other ones about, oh, I wish Cinderella had a pet. I think this would be better if Cinderella had a pet. I think they found the exception to that rule.
Yeah. I got the impression that it wasn't their dog.
Well, then why would they have been looking for it?
like the neighborhood was looking for it. Or maybe it was Dominique's dog and she was setting him free from life with Dominique.
So if you could change one thing about this movie, what would it be?
What could I possibly change to give this movie any kind of personality? I would age up Cinderella a few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
that would
she
help.
came across as very young. I didn't get a sense of chemistry between them, nor did I want a sense of chemistry between them.
Nope, nope.
And it wasn't like Save the Last Dance, where you got the sense that they were older and they were into each other and dancing was like a very sexy thing for them. This was just like, I love to dance. And it was very innocent. And I think that because of the prince's age and because of the bed scene,
It's just,
yeah.
there are so many things that I would have liked to change about this movie. And I don't think that a single change would have saved this movie. I would have made the stakes lower.
Interesting.
So instead of her getting into a nationally acclaimed dance academy, and instead of him being a superstar, he's just the cool guy in high school. And she's just auditioning for the local dance troupe or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stakes that they care about, but they're reasonable stakes, because I would have bought, hey, she's good and she's auditioning for the local dance troupe. I would have been fine with that. And I would have been fine with, oh, this was the really hot junior last year and he had to transfer because his dad's in the military, but now he's back and
He could have been in a commercial. That would have been fine. One commercial.
One commercial would have been fine. So I think if the stakes had been more reasonable, I would have been happier with this movie.
I think this movie would have been vastly improved by combining the two parties into one party.
You mean the three parties?
3 parties? Jesus Christ.
Which two were you thinking of combining?
The first two.
Yeah, the first two should definitely have been combined into either a prom. That whole second party could have been cut. We didn't need that. That was a stupid party. I mean, I get that that's where he finds her, but he didn't have to
I
find
take
her
it
there.
back. All three in one. So the black and white party, the Sweet 16 party, and also the audition, that could have all happened at once. She could have danced with this guy and they could have been seen dancing together. And whether he's a professional dancer or not, she did an incredible job and everyone's like, who's that girl?
Yep, I'm fine with that. Sorry, I've changed my mind. I would like the movie to just only be a Cinderella story.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'd like to cut out the last hour of this movie, because I think my worst moment in this was when I checked the time, because I said, "Oh wow, we're getting to the ball's about to happen. We're getting ready to go to the ball," which is normally 3/4 of the way through a Cinderella movie, and we still had an hour to go, a full hour, and I just had this moment of, "Whew, okay." I thought that I had lowered my expectations far enough, and that was wrong. So, will you ever be watching this again?
No.
No, me neither. Not for anybody. I wound up having to watch that weird Mae West Cinderella twice now, again, because Garth did not believe me, and neither did my mother. So they both had to watch it with me, and they wouldn't watch it together, so I had to watch it twice. But I will never watch this again.
No, this was so bad.
Yeah, and I urge all of our listeners, don't watch this. Don't do it. If you love Selena Gomez, go watch her in literally anything else. If you love the Another Cinderella Story franchise, you're in luck, because there are 5, soon to be 6 of these in total. And this is our second.
I hate that. I hate that information. You don't have to keep reminding me of that. I would just as soon forget.
But I see it every time I look at the schedule. Yeah, if you love the modern Cinderella Story franchise, go watch the Hilary Duff Cinderella, because as much as I hated it, it was way better than this.
I concur.
We got to do final grades now.
Easy. It's an F. There's nothing here that I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy the songs. I didn't enjoy the dancing. I didn't like any of the characters, save for Tammy. There was nothing fun or interesting or charming about it. I literally can't think of a single thing I enjoyed.
Yeah,
And it's a bad story structure.
it's a terrible story structure. Yeah, I was gonna go with a D minus, like the lowest D minus I could go. But having talked about it and thought about it, I think I have to agree with your assessment. This is an F.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
bad.
it's bad. It's racially insensitive. It's consent insensitive and unaware. It's badly acted. The premise is stupid. The writing is bad. None of the humor lands, and I hated it and wanted it to be over the entire time.
Well, it's almost midnight, so thank you for joining us. If you liked this episode, please leave us a rating or a review. We'd love to hear from you, so follow us at CinderPod on Twitter and Instagram, like our Facebook page, or email us at thecinderellapodcast@gmail.com. If you want bibbity bobbity bonus episodes or to hear us discuss this week's Cinderella again, but with more adult beverages in the ever after party, please support us at patreon.com/CinderPod. Our intro music is Bad Ideas by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him at incompetech.com. So, Liv, what are we watching next time?
Next week, we are going to be watching Yeshen from 1984. This is an animated Chinese Cinderella story. And I think this is actually based off the traditional Chinese version of the Cinderella story, as opposed to the horrific nightmare that was Cinderella and the Glass Huarache. So I have high hopes for this one.
I am so excited. Well, until then, we hope you have a happily ever after.